I'm curious, and it's something I've been asking everybody on the show tonight. What was the movie that you saw as a kid that like just resonated with you, it stuck with you, and this almost mortified you, like the first time seeing it? Are you into horror and stuff like that?
For me, it was the first time I saw the opening scene of Halloween. Just that whole angle of looking through the mask and seeing the knife kind of in tow, and then watching somebody get murdered. That was the first time I've ever seen anybody killed on TV before. I was probably like 7 or 8, maybe even younger than that. And then seeing that it was a kid the whole time, that was kind of scary.
So I prefer movies that make me feel alive or make me wish that was my life. And I've never seen a horror movie where I said, man, I wish I was running from that dude through the woods with an axe.
I found Evil Dead 2 in the local video store here, which in this town we had quite a few video stores come and go. None of them really stayed around for too long. So when I first started watching it, you know, the intro with where they're showing and explaining the Necronomicon was one of the earliest examples of seeing like stop motion animation, anything like that, and it just like immediately had me terrified.
Poltergeist.
Ooh, good one.
All right, so how old were you when you saw it?
Too young. Well, I think I might have seen it, and I probably wasn't supposed to see it, but it was on television. I was like 8 or 9 years old, around then. That stuck with me, but when he's actually outside in the burial and all the bodies are coming out all over, and it's all like, it was the mother, I think. She's like sliding in this like pit of dead bodies in the Indian burial ground or whatever, and they're just like coming out all over. I didn't sleep. I definitely didn't sleep that night, or probably the next night, or the night after that.
Easy answer, The Devil's Rejects.
Really? How old were you when it came out?
I don't know how old I was when it came out, but I was like 12 when I saw it for the first time, and I did not sleep. I'm not gonna say I'm afraid of clowns, but we don't have the best relationship. That movie got me.
I think for me, I remember being like 8 or 9 years old and watching The Shining. I think on Halloween, the night before Halloween, and just like the whole time I was like watching through my fingers. It was just at 8 or 9, you have no idea what's going on. You're barely a person.
Was there anything in particular that stood out? Was it like the bathroom scene with like the old woman?
It was the bear scene where she like sees the bear guy get like I don't know what he's doing, like he's giving head to the guy. I don't know what it's that bear thing, and I just like it just crossed my wires. I couldn't get what was going on in that situation, and it just like stuck with me for some reason.
The funny thing is, that's probably not even a Halloween movie. Realistically, it is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it was the Abominable Snowman. Yeah, that thing was like haunting me in my room at night, and it's like around every mountain, and it was really scary. I think a lot of Christmas movies have scary characters. I think it was the wild look in his eye and his teeth.
It was Evil Dead. Yeah.
Really?
I was probably way
saw it?
too young to be watching it. I don't even remember, but if I had to guess, man, I had to be fucking like way too little. And that shit was scary. I wasn't like horrified by it. I knew it was a movie, but man, it's still to this day is awesome.
Yeah. So it didn't have like any negative effect? Like you didn't like have a panic attack like when you saw a tree the next day?
No, not really. Not really. And that kind of freaks me out because it's like, it was in the most scary setting ever. Like it was pitch black room. Like I'm gonna tell you, someone was trying to scare me. I love them dearly. But I can remember that shit, man. That was fucking like so horrific.
Now, right around Halloween when I was younger, my family, we were building our house and we had to be out of our regular house before the date of our finished house. So we were staying at my grandparents' for about a month, and I was sleeping on a mattress on the living room floor. And I remember it was right near Halloween because I just bought a mask, and showing my grandmother, she told me a story about my dad's friend that came up to the window and scared the shit out of her. So I ended up going to bed, you know, and I was young at that point, and I was awoken to screams and banging on the window, and it was very horrific, but the only thing my brain could process was the joke that my grandmother had told me. And as I'm reaching for my mask to try to scare someone back, my parents and grandparents are running down the stairs, and I realize it's a woman screaming, "Ricky's been shot." What had happened was an ex-husband came back with the intent of killing his ex-wife and her new lover and abducting the kids. He ended up shooting the new husband in the chest, Ricky Boudelier, and Ricky passed away. While that was happening, the wife grabbed the children and started running through the fields. I live in a rural area, and they started banging on the windows trying to get in our house for safety. So my parents let them in, and they sent me upstairs, and they hid out there until the cops arrived.
I know as a kid, man, the fucking scariest thing I ever saw was the William Shatner airplane episode of
Twilight Zone.
Dude, scared the fuck out of me.
Oh.
I mean, dude, when he opened that window and that fucking thing was looking at him, I just about fell out of my chair. I think I was probably 9 when I saw it. Holy shit, scared the fuck out of me.
Hey, Punky's Mixtape. My name's Jesse. I'm going to talk a little bit about the first movie that just scared the absolute shit out of me, and honestly still kind of does today. That movie is The Exorcist. The first time that I ever saw The Exorcist, I must have been like 7 or 8, because we just had moved into a house with my grandparents. We had always lived in just like a 2-bedroom apartment, which just made it so much worse because now I was like living in the environment that the movie set in. I can't really recall the aftermath of watching The Exorcist, but I'm certain that I must have been like terrified to try and get up in the middle of the night to go get a glass of water or something. And I also couldn't tell you who I even watched it with the first time because I spent the entirety of the runtime with, just cowering under a blanket with only my eyes exposed to see the movie. So, yeah, it just scared the absolute shit out of me. I mean, the graphics, the visuals, the makeup and practical effects, and mixed with the audio, like hearing that demon voice come out of that child's face was just so unsettling. The whole thing is unsettling from front to back. Like even the beginning when everything's still kind of chill, it's just not chill. Like Reagan walks downstairs and tells someone they're gonna die upstairs and then pees on the rug. Just so creepy. And then when shit really hits the fan, I mean, my child brain just melted. It's like the scene where Reagan's like having a seizure in the bed and her throat swells up. I think her like eyes roll back in her head. Just terrifying. Of course, the scene where the head spinning scene. I mean, even just the like uncanny valley nature of the doll that they used to film that is terrifying. Of course the spider walk, crab walk down the stairs scene is terrifying. The whole thing just scared the daylights out of me.
What's up, Mixtapers? What's up, Corey? How's it going? Shannon here from Sister Ghost. I am in Derry City right now, which is the capital in the world for Halloween. So I'm here just hanging out with my pumpkins because I heard that you were doing a Halloween special, so I thought I would dial in and tell you a little bit about the first film that I remember giving me the heebie-jeebies. And there was a couple, like growing up with older siblings, like I used to get to watch films that were like maybe a little bit too spooky for whatever age I was at the time. So like I saw The Terminator way too young, I saw The Shining way too young, but the first horror movie that like scared the shit out of me was The Blair Witch. And I remember it was on the BBC. So it was on the BBC like late one night. It must have been like a Friday night or something, because like me and a couple of my friends were like, we were having a sleepover, and it just came on, and I think I had heard of it. Like, I'm not sure how I had heard of it, but I like was like, I saw it and was like, oh, the Blair Witch Project's on, like we should watch this. Has anyone seen it? And of course we were all like, no, because we were all like 14 or something, like we were quite young. And so we stuck it on and we watched it, and I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never seen like the handheld footage kind of thing before, and I think that the Blair Witch had like pioneered that. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they pioneered that genre that we're now seeing in films like Creep and like to some extent like the Paranormal Activity kind of films as well. But yeah, so I watched that, and I remember the one part in particular that got me, apart from the ending, like the ending just like, what? But there's this bit where I think it's like night 2 or something, because that film just gradually gets scarier as like the nights go on and the more lost they feel, and then like they start disappearing. So one of the nights is they're like in the tent and they get woke up by all these noises, and then they're like running through the forest, and it's like pitch dark, and then you hear like a baby crying. Like you can hear like a small child cry in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the forest, and that terrified me. I don't know why, but like that got me. I just remember being so spooked, and I love it. I still love that part today. Like when I watch it, maybe I'll rewatch it this week.
I actually have never seen this movie like start to finish. I've only seen like bits and pieces, but and I actually wasn't allowed to be watching it because I think I was like 6 years old, but my family was watching it, and they were watching The Sixth Sense. And I just so happened to walk in at the scene where there's this like lady that like, oh man, I don't even know the premise behind The Sixth Sense, but all I know is that she looks and then her face is normal. She looks away and it looks back and it's this like skeleton, like messed up. Like, have you guys seen The Sixth Sense?
Oh yeah.
The scene I'm talking about? Yeah, so that just basically, I remember walking in the room and that just like scarred me. I think, oh man, I was like afraid to use the bathroom by myself.
There was a movie I watched as a kid. I think Nicolas Cage or something might have been in it, The National Treasure, dude. And there were like these aliens, and they were like drinking the blood. They were like they're sticking these needles into people and like draining out their bodies and like leaving their withered corpses everywhere. And like they made the sound as they were walking. And I remember waking up at like 4 a.m. and I'm like, oh my God, I hear them outside.
I used to watch movies with my dad and my uncle every Friday night since I was like really little. And they showed me The Shining when I was 7 years old, which was probably not advisable. And they also like to play practical jokes. So I was really scared and I was like sitting on the edge of my seat. And when the woman came out of the bathtub in the room that Danny wasn't supposed to go into, my uncle just like grabbed me and I literally ran out of the house and ran home, and I was just crying.
Oh man, I guess the movie that traumatized me the most as a kid was Backdoor Sluts 9. That'll get you. That one really messed me up. Horror movie. I was gonna say The Exorcist.
Horror. I mean, it might have been. I didn't say horror movie.
Yeah. I was gonna say The Exorcist because of the scene where she's like walking backwards, like upside down the stairs. Like that was really fucked up. I think The Ring really got to me as well. The Ring, crawling through the TV and shit. That was really interesting. And just the very beginning of that movie, when the horse jumps off the fucking boat and gets tore up by the fucking propeller. That was just like really messed up. For no reason at all, they threw that in there.
But there's just so many little things in Evil Dead 2 that I just love. Like, it's some of it is like the more simple things, like where when they first go to the cabin and like there's the swing that's, you know, going in the breeze, and then like they get up to the door and then like it just stops. It's subtle in its own way, where like everything is like laughing, like the mounted deer head on the wall is laughing, and like the lamp, and there's like a book laughing and stuff. It's almost like it comes across kind of more scary because it's this evil thing, or, you know, conglomerate of evilness that is coming after him, but it kind of is like fucking with him.
Well, on physical Halloween, I remember watching Nightmare Before Christmas. Just start the fucking sorry, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Part 3. Yeah, and just like that was probably my first like proper like slasher movie or whatever. And yeah, there's a scene where Freddy slices out the tendons and the veins of one of the characters, and then he makes him dance like a marionette, and it like that when I was a kid I couldn't get that image out of my head.
Is 3 Dream Warriors?
That's right, Dream Warriors.
Yeah, that's the welcome to prime time, bitch. It's like right out.
Yeah. Apparently, the actor who played Freddy, Robert Englund, that was his. He thought of doing that line, like that wasn't in the script. The welcome to prime time, bitch, and then the whole bitch thing became his like new catchphrase.
I want to say it was either one of the Freddy Krueger ones or like Child's Play or something. Because like
those are awesome.
Both of those fueled my nightmares like for such a long time.
Oh my god!
Until like, yeah, I got to the point where I was like having so many Chucky dreams. I like knew he was just trying to fuck me up.
He should have never told us that, man.
You know what is mine? It's not a movie, but The Monkey's Paw. That's the short story. Like when I read that as a kid, and that it's stuck with me to this day. I mean, it's so freaky. And the scariest thing about it was that like there was no it was all psychological. The horror. There's no gore. There's no overt monsters. It's just the idea that maybe there's a monster outside the door. That was the scariest thing about it. So that stuck with me to this day.
If you get a monkey paw, you get free yogurt.
Yeah. What freaked me out? I don't know.
Yogurt is also cursed.
The first movie that scared the shit out of me, I think, that I can remember was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There were 2 scenes, right? There was the one with the imposter Jessica Rabbit, and then there was the one at the end where Christopher Lloyd.
Remember me? You remember me, Eddie?
Everybody thinks that scene's scarier, but for me, it was the imposter Jessica Rabbit that gave me nightmares. There was just something about that scene, like the deception, and then she turns around and it's not her, and she chases the guy and everything. That scene scared the shit out of me, and I legit had nightmares about the imposter Jessica Rabbit.
She was
like when I was like in the 3rd or the 4th grade, I saw Friday the 13th with like Jason for the first time. And I shit you not when I tell you that I could not sleep for like 6 months after I saw that movie. I was like terrified, especially because I live like 5 minutes from like a lake in the woods. So like every time I would just like drive past like the lake, like on my way to school, I'd be looking out the window trying to find Jason. Like, oh, where is he? Oh, he's gonna get me. And it was just, oh my god, I was like traumatized for a long time because of that movie.
I guess the first time I remember being scared watching a movie was 3 Men and a Baby.
The window!
The ghost in the background. I read a newspaper article about it. I watched it, and I saw the ghost. I was young, probably like 12 years old or something, and it freaked me out. And I'm pretty sure, I think at a different time, I watched that movie, and the same scene, and the ghost was not there that time. I don't know if it's my young memory tricks on me, but I think the ghost was there one time, and that maybe they edited it. Maybe it was actually a ghost. I don't know.
I think the only thing that really stuck with me, because as a kid, I was watching like Are You Afraid of the Dark or something like that, but they had this one episode. They're all stupid, all cheesy, but there's this one episode where there's like this red skull looking ghost that was living in a swimming pool. And well, growing up, my dad thought it'd be funny to push me into a pool, even though I couldn't swim, at the Elks Club in like 10 feet of water. And that just stuck with me. So now there's like this freaky ass looking red skull looking ghost that's gonna pull you under. That just traumatized the shit out of me. But then everyone else at school, they're like, "Oh, are you afraid of the dark? Really? That's like watching Goosebumps, pussy." I mean, like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, dude, I'm traumatized. This is different, man.
Child Play, the first one.
The first one.
First one, yeah. That shit was scary, bro.
Dude.
Oh, my cat, hold up. Yeah. He just went in. But yeah, the first one was crazy, bro. That shit scared me. Just him coming to life, bro. You know, after he wanted the doll, you know, like that shit was fucking scary, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like the way he was moving and shit, and just like the way just the doll itself was scary for me. Watching it, I was like 9 years old. You know, I was scared as fuck.
Child's Play. That was really scary to me because someone decided to show me that. I think I was 7, maybe, when I came, something like that. 6 or 7. I was really young. I was getting babysat at a place that wasn't my house. And Chucky, you know, so fucking scary. But I also, like, don't take this the wrong way, but I also saw boobs for the first time because I watched that movie too. So as scary and horrible as it was really like not the scariest experience.
Oh man, alright, so I guess the conventional answer would be like I tuned in for like 5 minutes of The Grudge as a child, and I've never watched the full thing, so I have zero context for the plot. But just watching like these small little like fluff balls that were like very angry, like chasing after this woman or whatever, I was like, this is a little weird, you know. I don't really get the appeal.
It's a little off base. It's not a movie per se, but there's a couple of episodes of old Star Trek that just shocked me. There's an episode in Voyager where the holodeck's malfunctioning, and I think Kes walks into the holodeck, and Gandhi's head is like spinning around, and like these people are like, it's just like, what's going on? And even in TNG, there's an episode where someone sinks through the floor and dies halfway through the floor, and like it's like, that's crazy. So yeah, as a kid, that definitely shocked me.
Side note, do you remember a couple years back, like 2016, 2017, when clowns were just walking around committing crimes all the time?
Oh yes, the murder clowns.
Yeah, so that was like a little weird thing, and that was probably the first time where I was really like, that's scary. That shit is like a little scary. Just like a random ass clown committing like whatever random crime. I remember one time, we left a diner, and our friend was taking too long to pay his bill and leave. So we decided to leave without him. And I called him up crying because I can make myself cry like that. So I called him up crying, explaining that like we had like encountered like a clown waving around a gun and all this sort of stuff, and we were so sorry we left him behind. Is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay? And we told him we were come to get him. First we stopped at a corner store and picked up like masks and like a bag to throw over his head and all this stuff, and we had him go to like the back of this alley, and we drove behind him and just like covered we covered his face with like the bag that we bought and tried to like bring him into the trunk. Just like kidnap our boy.
Now that's the thing, like real life horror, like that type of stuff, that really brings the stakes up.
Right. Oh yeah.
Now, I'm curious. Now, has anyone had a supernatural experience in real life?
Okay.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
up. That's this guy, man.
Yes, I've had multiples. But, so the first one that I really had was at the first apartment I lived in with roommates and stuff after moving out of the house. And one day we had a carport, so I pulled into the carport. There was a door right there that went into the apartment. And one of the guys got out of the car, he opened it up, and you saw the light flash in this weird ass way. I mean, it didn't make sense. It got super bright and then just went out. And then it blew. And the guy slammed the door shut and just looks at us like white as a sheet. And he's like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I just saw, but I don't think I was supposed to see it. And so the other two of us went running into the house, and we told him, like, go look at the balcony, make sure nobody gets out. We went running up. We checked the whole fucking house. There wasn't nothing, right? And suddenly I start remembering, like, I knew who lived there before we moved in there. And I remember them telling us, like, they would come downstairs and all the doors would be open in the kitchen, or they'd be halfway up the staircase and the light would turn off and stuff. And we were like, wow, that's, you know. And so all those stories started, like, kind of
coming back
again, right? And so that whole week, man, weird shit started happening. And I always kind of thought, oh, you guys are just, like, talking shit, right? But then one day I did go downstairs and I was the only one home, and, like, all the doors were open on the cabinets in the kitchen. And it was like, ah, shit, man, this is really fucking happening. So I just, like, one night I just decided, dude, fuck this shit, right? And the guys went to bed and they're like, what are you doing? I said, I'm staying up, man. We're gonna hash this shit out, right? And I just started talking shit. I'm like, come on, Ghost, fucking show yourself. You like some kind of pussy or something?
You're the first guy to die in every horror movie.
Right? No, obviously not a really smart
I've heard
decision.
your gripes about this. I'm surprised you're doing this.
So what's so weird is that, so that night I go to bed and I remember, like, I woke up the next morning and I remembered, like, being half awake that night and talking to somebody. It was like a shadow that had, like, kind of a derby cap on, and that was talking to me, and I couldn't remember the conversation. I just remember having it. But what we all noticed that day was we all kind of came downstairs and we were like, dude, like, everything cool here? Yeah, it all feels, like, really different, right? And I said, I don't know why, but I feel like my grandfather came through and cleaned house last night. Know that my grandfather that I'm talking about wanted to be a prize fighter and used to go down to the bars at night just to start fights. Yeah, so he's not afraid of shit, right? So when I was living in Lake Tahoe, I had one morning where I had a studio apartment, so the door was right next to where I slept. And I always had the radio on. One morning, I wake up because I hear the fucking latch of the door, like the door just opened and closed of the front door. And I shot up, like, straight, sitting straight up going, what the fuck? Dead silent in the apartment. And I look ahead and I see the derby cap man. And he just walks across the room straight to a fucking wall, opens up a door in the wall, and when he closes it, I literally hear a latch of the door, and then the music comes back on my radio.
I've had, like, little things, like, people have, like, sounds or whatever in the other room, like, randomly, very, like, infrequently, but one that was very interesting is I was, like, gonna go on a trip, and there was, like, many reasons that I didn't want to go on this trip, and it was down to an island near, like, where pirates were concerned, like a literal concern, and it was just, like, and the conditions for the trip were weird. So anyway, and it was late at night, and Will and I were actually talking in the room next door with the dog in the room, and we were just, like, not sure if I want to do this trip. Like, I don't think I want to do this trip. Like, I just don't have a good feeling about this trip. And then we were just like, what do you think? What's going to happen? You know? And then in the other room, there was, like, this huge crash. And I was like, we both were like, what was that? Okay. So we came out. And then, like, I have this, it was this dish of, like, international change, like, different currencies. And the dish was, like, this world, like, it was kind of like that kind of treasure hunting type of theme, whatever. And yeah, so that dish was like 3 feet away from the shelf that it was on, and it was on the floor. It crashed. So it was just the weirdest thing ever that's happened.
I was hanging out at a college one time at FLCC, and then I had to pass through a town called Bloomfield, which is like a farm town kind of out. It's a little bit southeast of Rochester. When I was driving back, and it was like, you know, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't like doing anything that night, I look out the window and I had enough time to say, oh shit, I saw this green light shoot off the ground at a pace that I could never ever fathom. Like anything, I mean, it would be light speed if it was real. I don't know.
How big was it?
It looked like a football or something, but I mean, it was probably about a mile or two off in the field.
Oh,
it was
shit,
crazy. It just shot up out of the atmosphere and it was gone. And I wouldn't even tell the story if it was fake. It
From the
sounds
ground?
crazy. Yeah, from the ground.
Like
I saw it take off.
Oh shit.
Too many people have criticized me on the story for me to just want to tell this story if it wasn't real. And I mean, I don't even know what to say. It happened, and it solidified believing in aliens for me. So
I was hiking with a bud on it was a Tuesday, so it was Tuesday, so there's no one out there, so it was just me and my bud, and we started hiking, and we climbed up this slope, and we sat there and we smoked some weed, and we were on this boulder, and then we're like, all right, let's go home. So we go back down, and we look back up. We're at the bottom of the slope now, so we look back up to the big boulder that we had been sitting on. It's pretty far away, but there's this weird figure standing there moving around. And we're like, it looks kind of like a person, but it's just this big, tall shadow. And we're like, dude, where'd that guy come from? Like, what the fuck is that? And we're like, huh? And it's kind of moving back and forth. So we're like, hello? We call to it, and it kind of stops moving, but it doesn't call back. Like nothing calls back. We both had smoked weed, so I was like, dude, what are you seeing? I'm seeing this, and I was like, yeah, I'm seeing that too. So we kind of confirmed each other. And it started coming down the slope towards us in our direction. Like, this is still way off in the distance. Like, we had a phone, but these were flip phones. So, like, we got a picture, but you can't see shit, of course. So it starts heading back towards our direction, and we're like, fuck, okay, let's get out of here. And like I said, there was no other people on it. We never saw anybody the whole day, and there was no other cars in the parking lot of the trail either when we got back. And right near the entrance of the trail, like, we would have stepped on it if it had been there the whole time. But on the way out, there was just this, sitting in the middle of the trail, there was this, skull of a bison or something, just like sitting, or like an elk, just like sitting in the middle of the pathway. And we're like, where did that come from? We're like, well, fuck it, we got back to our car. We're like, that was my one, spooky story.
Have any of you guys ever had a real life supernatural experience?
Man, dude, you're talking to the right band, man.
Oh.
I know, do all three of us, Marlon, do you have something?
Plenty, and I still don't.
I know, this guy does for sure. I got something. It's happened many times.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was recent.
That was recent?
Yeah.
Like it was here? Or...
It was at my apartment I'm at now. I had this lightsaber like hanging from a hook in my kitchen, like naturally, and it has like a switch to turn it on, And I was in the bathroom, like on the opposite side, and it just turned on suddenly, and it was making all those whooshing sounds and shit, and as if someone was like waving it around, because it only does that if you're waving it.
Yeah.
And so I finished, the bathroom stuff, and then I went to check it out, and I went to like grab it and it shut off, and then yes.
Before you grabbed it, shut off?
Before I grabbed it.
Yeah, fuck that. So it was a ghost cosplaying as alive.
Yeah.
So you had your own Phantom Menace.
Right, indeed.
Yeah.
But nothing's happened since then, so I think.
When I was in Tahoe, I ended up moving in with a good friend of mine and his brother. And his daughters, I unbeknownst to me, his daughters had always talked about a ghost there, right? And I was living upstairs in the loft, and there was a room up there too, and his brother was living in the room. And so one night, it was probably, I don't know, I think it was like 3:03 in the morning. I remember waking up, and I knew this feeling. I couldn't move. I was sweating like fucking bullets, right? And I couldn't move, but I was fully awake. and I kind of looked down towards the end of the bed, and I'm like, okay, I think I know what's going on, because I felt this a couple times before. And so I just went back to sleep. I'm like, it'd be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. So the next morning, I'm downstairs watching TV, and here comes this guy's brother running down the stairs. Dude, you will not believe what fucking happened to me last night. I said, did it happen about 3:03? And he just like dead stop, white as a sheet. What the fuck? Right? And because he didn't believe in like ghosts or nothing, right? So he's like really astonished. This is his first encounter, right? And he's like, dude, some fucking dude like just went walking through my room in the middle of last night and through the wall. What the fuck? I said, yeah, on his way into the loft to walk by me. And he's just like, dude, I don't know what the fuck, right? So his brother comes out. He's like, starts swearing and cussing up a storm. Dude, I'm so sick of this fucking ghost shit, bullshit fucking stories in my goddamn fucking house. Nothing ever fucking happened here, right? So this was right before his wedding, right? So his daughters come back to town for his wedding, right? Literally walk in the house. They stop, they both look around, they go running upstairs, and you just they go run upstairs and you hear them stop. They come running back down the stairs. They go, Dad, what happened? He's like, what do you mean what happened? He's like, the ghost is gone. How did the ghost go away? He's like, oh God, you too. I'm fucking done with this shit, right? Yeah, his daughters felt it. I don't know what it is, but I have always felt that my grandfather on my dad's side has always, whenever there's like something there, has come in to eradicate.
So one day we're all hanging out over there, and we're just like watching like probably a horror movie. We used to do that all the time over there, and like I was hanging out, drinking, smoking, whatnot. And I got one of my good friends next to me, and he, out of nowhere, he's just like, cut it out. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, oh, no, nothing. And I was like, okay.
I wasn't talking.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. He's serious. I was like, okay, that was weird. So I was like, I'm going to go up to the bathroom. And when I go to the bathroom, I'm trying to close the door behind me and kind of like slams a little bit. And I was like, oh, that was weird. I'm trying not to slam the door when I come back. Slowly, gently close the door a little bit, and it kind of still slams. I'm like, all right, that was a little weird, So I go downstairs, sit down, and my friend who was acting goopy earlier goes to me. He's like, hey man, you ever feel like something's down here with us? And I felt like this thing's presence or whatever sometimes. It's kind of, they say you could feel the electromagnetic pulse, whatever the fuck it is, or shit like that.
Chill.
Yeah, they say you feel like you're being watched, chills, what have you. But as soon as he asked me that, I swear to God, I feel this fucking thing right up in my face as if it's staring at me. And for some reason, even though I've heard all these stories, and even though I've always felt this presence come and go and things like that, something possesses me to say no. And as soon as I say no, I feel this pressure on my neck that I was like, I could still talk, but it made it difficult to breathe. And I'm freaking out inside a little bit, but I'm not saying anything to these guys. I'm just thinking like, okay, like I need this to go away. So I'm not verbally saying anything, but I'm reasoning with the ghost. I'm like, hey, listen, man, you're probably hearing me right now, but it's not cool. I'm sorry.
It's when I was about 10 years old. I was trying to get to sleep one night. I had a really bad cold, I was coughing heaps, and I'm laying up in bed and I'm coughing, and I hear this distinctly male voice, despite it just being me and my mum at this house. This voice asked me, are you all right? I thought that was weird. I felt rude if I didn't answer, so I said, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just a little cold. I could feel like a draft coming in. And just then, just as I said that, bang, the window slammed shut, draft gone. I'm like, thank you, friendly ghost.
Boom, I'm at the crib. I got my boxes on, TMI.
And you know what I'm saying? I'm downstairs at my house in Bridgeport, Connecticut. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's gone. I'm there by myself. I'm playing an online video game and get to read all the passages and figure out the clues before the darkness takes over the house. It was just like, you know what I'm saying? It was like one of those independent online games. You just find a bunch of games and just play. I was just playing whatever. You know what I'm saying? I was bored. And man, I read one of these passages, right? And I was just like, yo, I caught the hair sticking up on my arms. It was like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, so let me go. So I went to the, open up the blinds, you know what I'm saying? Just get more light to come on in. Cause you know what I'm saying? We're on a lower level. It's kind of like cabin style. And then I went to the left-hand side and I slid the blinds to the left to get light coming in. And then what I was gonna do just to get air coming in, I was gonna pull the glass door and then pull the mesh. But when I slid the blinds on the sliding door, a crow flew by. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm just like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So when the crow flew by, right? So now I pulled the sliding glass door and I went to go pull the mesh. And the moment I went to go pull the mesh, dude, the crow doubled back and it flew and it literally went straight for my head and I ducked. And when I turned around to look, because I ended up flying forward and I turned around to look, it hit the window that I actually opened, not the window, but the blinds that I opened on the window to get light coming in. It hit those blinds behind me. So I turned around and looked, I'm like, oh shit. I dubbed. I ran to the driveway, and I'm out in the driveway with slippers on and boxers on, just waiting for anybody to come home. I'm like,
here's something that's scary. You ever go back and watch your home videos from when you were a kid and you were happy? That guy. Remember me?
Unfortunately, those don't exist for me. I was never happy.
But yeah, so from me and my pumpkins, happy Halloween. Stay safe. Stay spooky. And a blessed Samhain to you all. And it's Samhain, it's not Samhain, as the guy from Halloween 1978 original says. He always says Samhain, but it's Irish. Samhain is Irish, it's an Irish word. And Samhain is the name for this time of year, which is the best time of year. Happy Halloween.